بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending the salutations upon the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam, and upon his family and his companions, and upon all those who follow upon his guidance into the establishment of the last day. To proceed, يا إخوان, نقدم لكم خطبة الجمعة لفضيلة الشيخ الإمام عبدالعزيز البرعي حفظه الله تعالى بعنوان عظمة التوحيد. So we present to you, inshallah ta'ala, the Jumu'ah of our noble Sheikh Abdillah al-Buree. May Allah ta'ala preserve him. And this reminder is called the greatness of at-Tawheed.
ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ونستغفره حرسها الله وإليكم المادة المذكورة. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
So the Imam al-Sheikh Abdillah al-Buree, may Allah preserve him, he begins. He says, verily our praise belongs to Allah. We praise him, we seek his assistance, and we seek his forgiveness, and we seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evils within ourselves and from the evils of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, there's none that can lead him astray, and as for the one whom he leaves astray, there's none that can guide him. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah. He is alone without having any partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdillah, that he is his servant and his messenger. May the peace and salutations be upon him and his family and his companions. O you who believe, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as he ought to be feared, and do not die except that you are Muslims, that you are in the state of al-Islam.
واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا.
He says, as Allah Ta'ala says, O mankind, fear your Lord who has created you from a single soul, Adam, and he created from this soul Adam, his wife, his mate, and produced from both of them countless, numerous men and women, and fear Allah whom you demand your mutual rights, and do not cut off the relations of the wombs that bore you, for indeed Allah is an off-watcher over you. Now. Allah Ta'ala, he says, O you who believe, fear Allah and always speak the truth. If you fear Allah and speak the truth, he will rectify for you your affairs and forgive you of your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and his messenger have achieved a tremendous achievement. Verily, to proceed, the most truthful speech. No. to proceed. For surely the most truthful speech is the book of Allah, Al-Quran. And the finest guidance is the guidance of Muhammad alayhi salatu salam. And the most evil of affairs are those newly introduced novelties in Al-Islam. And every newly introduced novelty in Al-Islam is an innovation. And every innovation is a misguidance. And every misguidance will lead the individual to the hellfire.
كلامنا في هذا المقام المبارك عن عظمة التوحيد، توحيد الله جل وعلا.
So he said, O you have submitted themselves in the religion of Al-Islam, my brothers and my sisters. Our speech today in this blessed platform is with regards to the greatness of a TAUHEED, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
فالله عز وجل خلق الناس جميعا لعبادته.
He says, for verily Allah, the Mighty and the Majestic, He created mankind, all of them, for one purpose, and one purpose only, for them to worship Him.
قال تعالى وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. قال العلماء أي ليوحدون.
As Allah Ta'ala, He says, and verily I, meaning Allah, have not created the jinn nor mankind except for them to worship me. Surah Al-Atharee. The scholars of Al-Islam, they mention here, except for them to worship me, means liwahidun, except for them to single me out in worship.
فهذا هو الأمر الذي من أجله خلقت الخليقة.
So he says this affair is the single affair that because of it, creation, they were created.
وبعث الله عز وجل الرسل جميعا بالتوحيد.
And Allah, the Mighty and the Majestic, sent the messengers, all of them, with a tawheed.
قال تعالى ولقد بعثنا في كل أمة رسولا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت.
As Allah Ta'ala, He says, and surely we, meaning Allah, we have sent to every nation a messenger, proclaiming to this nation, saying to this nation, worship Allah and Allah alone, and stay away from the worship of those false idols. Surah Al-Nahl.
وقال جل وعلا وما أرسلنا من قبلك من رسول إلا نوحي إليه أنه لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدون.
And Allah, the Mighty and the Majestic, He also mentions, as it comes in Surah Al-Anbiya, and we, meaning Allah, we have not sent down before you, O Muhammad, from messengers, except that we have sent down upon these messengers, saying that none has the right to be worshipped except me, so worship me.
وقال جل وعلا أتى أمر الله فلا تستعجلوه سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون ينزل الملائكة بالروح من أمره على من يشاء من عباده أن أنذروا أنه لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدون.
He says, and Allah Ta'ala, He says, as it comes in Surah Al-Nahl, Allah says, and thus the command of Allah comes, فَلَا تَسْتَعْجِلُوا, so do not hasten towards it. Glory belongs to Allah, عَمَّا يُشْرِكُونَ, far away, far exalted from that which they ascribe and worship with Him. يُنَزِّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةَ بِالرُّوحِ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ, He sends down the angels, بِالرُّوحِ, with the soul, the ruh, by His command, upon those whom He wishes from His servants. And أَنذِرُوا أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاتَّقُونَ, to warn the people that none has the right to be worshipped except me, so therefore fear me. Surah Nahl.
فهذه الآيات تدل على أن الرسل يدعون الناس إلى توحيد الله عز وجل.
So these ayat, my brothers and my sisters, they point to the fact that the messengers of Allah, they called the people, they invited mankind to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
وإلى عبادة الله وحده لا شريك له.
They called mankind to the worship of Allah and the worship of Allah alone, who has no partners.
والله عز وجل أنزل القرآن من أجل التوحيد.
And Allah the Mighty and the Majestic, He sent down this Quran for the sole purpose of التوحيد.
قال جل وعلا ألف لام را كتاب أحكمت آياته ثم فصلت من لدن حكيم خبير ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إنني لكم منه نذير وبشير.
As Allah Ta'ala, He says, Alif Lam Ra, Kitabun Uhkimat Ayatu, a book, a noble book, that its ayat, its verses, its signs have been legislated. ثُمَّ فُصِلَتْ مِن لَدُنْ حَكِيمٍ خَبِيرٍ. Then they have been explained in detail from the all-wise, the all-aware. أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا اللَّهِ, that you worship, or that you do not worship except for Allah. إِنَّنِي لَكُم مِّنْهُ نَذِيرٌ وَبَشِيرٌ. Verily I, meaning the messenger of Allah, I have been sent to you as a warner and a bringer of glad tidings. Surah TAUHEED.
فالقرآن كله من أجل التوحيد.
So the Quran, all of it, it was sent down for the purpose of a tawheed.
كما ذكر ذلك ابن القيم عليه رحمة الله.
Just as it was mentioned by the great Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, may upon him be the mercy of Allah.
فإما أن تكون الآيات في الأمر بتوحيد الله أو في التحذير من الشرك بالله أو في هلاك المشركين أو في نجاة الموحدين أو في أحكام يعبد الله بها الموحدون أو فيما أعده الله في الدار الآخرة للموحدين وما أعده في الدار الآخرة للمشركين.
He says, either with regards to the ayat of Allah, you find that there is a commandment from Allah that Allah is to be worshipped upon Tawheed, or you find that there is a prohibition from Allah with regards to ascribing partners with Allah, or you find the destruction or the mentioning of the destruction of the polytheists, or you find the mentioning of the salvation and the success of those who worship Allah upon a tawheed, or you find the rulings and the legislation of those who single out Allah Ta'ala in worship, or you find what Allah has prepared in the hereafter for those who single Him out in a tawheed, or you find what Allah has prepared in the hereafter for those who worship Him upon a shirk. And who from the servants of Allah worship Allah Ta'ala upon that? Except that it has a connection with the tawheed. Because you find that there are two conditions for the actions to be accepted by Allah. And the first being al-ikhlasu lillah, that the person has to have this sincerity for the sake of Allah. And the second being al-mutaba'atu li rasulillah, that the action has to be in accordance with the sunnah of the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam.
sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam.
May the peace and salutation of Allah be upon him. So, singling Allah Ta'ala out or worshipping Allah upon ikhlas, being sincere to Allah, in itself, this is tawheed. So the action will not be accepted, the action that does not have with it a tawheed. As the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentions, translator's note, this hadith is collected by Imam Muslim, narrated by Abu Hurairah, that the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, قال الله تعالى, that Allah said, أنا أغنى الشركاء عن الشرك, that I am the one that is the one that is in the least need of having a partner. I am the one that is the least in need of having a partner. Whoever ascribes or whoever performs an action, أشرك معي فيه غيري, and this person does this action in which he ascribes a partner to me, تركته وشركه, then I, meaning Allah, I'm going to leave him and the one that he made as a partner with me.
فبناء على ذلك فجميع أعمالك القولية والفعلية والاعتقادية مرتبطة بتوحيد الله جل وعلا.
So from this we see that the affairs, all of the actions that are qawliya, that are said with one's mouth, the actions that are fi'liya, that are done with one's limbs, the actions of al-i'tiqadiyya, the actions of belief, that they are all connected to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
أيها المسلمون لقد بدأ النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم بالتوحيد.
Oh, you have submitted themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon this religion. Surely the Messenger of Allah, he began with the oneness of Allah.
واستمر على الدعوة إلى التوحيد حتى توفاه الله.
And the Prophet continued upon this path, continued calling the people to the oneness of Allah until Allah Ta'ala took his soul.
جاء في حديث طارق المحاربي رضي الله عنه قال رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم بسوق ذي المجاز وهو يقول أيها الناس قولوا لا إله إلا الله تفلحوا.
As it comes in the authentic narration narrated by Tariq al-Maharibi, may the peace of Allah be upon, the pleasure of Allah be upon him. He said, I saw the Messenger of Allah pass by a marketplace, and he would say, Ya ayyuhan nasu, O people, qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu, say none has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and you will be successful. Translators note, this hadith is collected by Imam Ibn Khuzaymah, also Imam Al-Hakim, and Allah Ta'ala ala wa alam.
فكان النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يعرض نفسه على القبائل ويستغل تلك الفرص أيام الأسواق السنوية.
He says, so the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, he used to present himself to the people of the tribes. He would take this tremendous opportunity of the days of the year while the people were in the marketplaces.
التي تجمع العرب من شتى القبائل.
The days in which the Arab, they would gather together from various tribes.
فيعرض عليهم التوحيد
And the Prophet would present to them a tawheed.
وأن ينطقوا بكلمة التوحيد.
And they would utter the words of a tawheed.
فمنهم من يقبل.
So from amongst them were those who accepted his call.
والغالب عليهم الرفض.
And most of the people, they rejected it.
واستمر على ذلك.
But the Messenger of Allah continued upon that.
صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم وهو في مكة 13 سنة.
So he called to the Tawheed of Allah while he was in Mecca, calling the people for the duration of 13 years.
13 سنة.
For 13 years.
ويدعو إلى التوحيد.
So 13 years went past, and the Prophet of Allah was calling the people to a Tawheed.
فقليل تلك الأحكام التي شرعت كالصلاة وغيرها.
And at that time, there were only a few legislations, a few rulings, like the legislation of the prayer and other than that.
وكان غالب أمره في الدعوة إلى التوحيد.
And the most of the commandments therein were the commandments to the call of a Tawheed.
وبعد هجرته صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم ظل يدعو إلى توحيد الله جل وعلا.
So after the migration of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, he continued to call the people to a Tawheed.
في حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنه وهو راكب معه وابن عباس طفل صغير دون البلوغ.
As it comes in the hadith of Abdillah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, in which he was riding with the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. And Ibn Abbas at this time was a young lad, a young boy, who did not reach the age yet of maturity.
قال يا غلام إني أعلمك كلمات.
The Messenger of Allah said, "O young boy, inni u'allimuka kalimat. Verily, I'm going to teach you some words.
احفظ الله يحفظك.
Be mindful of Allah, and Allah will be mindful of Allah, and Allah will be mindful of you."
هكذا يبني التوحيد في قلب هذا الغلام.
He said, "Ihfaz Allah yahfazka." Be mindful of Allah, and Allah will be mindful of you. Thus is how the Messenger of Allah is instructing him, teaching him a tawheed, so it can be in his heart.
ثم قال له واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعوا على إذ تجاهك إذا سألت فاسأل الله.
So the Messenger of Allah continues. He says, "Ihfaz Allah tajiduhu tujahaka." Be mindful of Allah, be conscious of Allah, and you will find him in front of you. And إِذَا سَأَلْتَ فَاسْأَلِ اللَّهِ. And whenever you ask from Allah. Whenever you ask from Allah.
وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله.
And when you seek help and aid, seek this help and aid from Allah.
هكذا يبني التوحيد في قلب هذا الغلام.
And this is how the message.
شيء قد كتب. واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعوا بالله هكذا يبني التوحيد في قلب هذا الغلام.
Thus, this is how the Messenger of Allah is building the Tawheed, so it can erupt and be erected in the heart of this young boy.
ثم قال له واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعوا على أن ينفعوك بشيء لن ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله لك.
Then the Messenger of Allah continues, and he says, وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ. And know, meaning to the young boy, Ibn Abbas, and know that if the entire ummah, the entire world, their entire nation, اجتمعت على أن ينفعوك بشيء, that they all come and gather together collectively in order to bring you some benefit. They will never be able to bring you some benefit unless this is that which Allah Ta'ala has decreed for you.
وإن اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء شيء قد كتبه الله عليه.
And if the whole world, the entire ummah, came together in order to bring you some harm or cause you some harm, they will never be able to harm you except by that which Allah has decreed to reach you, to befall you.
رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف.
For verily, the pens have been raised and the pages have been dried. Translators note, this hadith is collected by the Imam Al-Tirmidhi, also Imam Al-Hakim, also Imam Ahmad, and other than them. And Allah Ta'ala wa alam.
الرجال والنساء للصغار فهذا يدلك على استمرار الدعوة. وجفت الصحف. نعم أيها المسلمون، فهذا يدلك على استمرار الدعوة إلى توحيد الله عز وجل.
So all you have submitted themselves in this blessed religion from amongst the Muslims. This shows you and it points to you, or points you to the fact that you are to be continuous upon the call of a tawheed.
للرجال والنساء.
For the men and for the women.
للصغار والكبار.
For the youth and for the elderly.
في أي فرصة يجدها.
In any opportunity that is found,
دعاهم إلى توحيد الله عز وجل.
that the people, they call the individuals to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
حتى وهم موحدون.
Even if the people who are being called, they already single Allah out in tawheed.
لا يزال يدعوهم إلى توحيد الله.
That the caller should still call them to continue to worship Allah upon a tawheed. Allahu Akbar.
وفي غزوة الحديبية.
Also you find in the battle of Hudaybiyah,
والنبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم في ذلك الوضع الحرج.
that the Messenger of Allah upon this battle here, in this crucial situation,
وهو يتوقع انفجار الأمر بينه وبين المشركين.
that he was anticipating a tremendous affair between him and the polytheists.
ويتوقع أن تنفجر الحرب بينه وبينهم.
That he was expected that the people, that the armies between him and between them, that they will be in fajra, that they will be destroyed.
لم يهمل الدعوة إلى التوحيد. نزل مطر من الليل.
He said, but still, he was in need of calling the people, even at this dire time, to a tawheed. At the time, نزل المطر من الليل, the water, the rain began to descend at the night time.
كما جاء في حديث زيد بن خالد الجهني فحين أصبح وصلى بهم الفجر.
As it comes in the hadith of Zayd ibn Khalid al-Juhani, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that he woke up, alayhi salatu salam, and he offered the prayer of the Fajr, the morning prayer, leading the people therein.
قال أتدرون ماذا قال ربكم الليل.
The Messenger of Allah said, do you know what your Lord has said this night?
قالوا الله ورسوله أعلم.
They said, Allah and His Messenger know best.
قال الله أصبح من عبادي مؤمن بي وكافر.
He said, Allah Ta'ala said, أصبح من عبادي مؤمن بي وكافر. That today, from my servants are those who awaken believers, believing in me. And from my servants are those who have awakened, disbelieving in me.
فأما من قال مطرنا بفضل الله وبرحمته فذلك مؤمن بي.
He says, as for the one who woke up and he said, we were given rain throughout the night by the bounty of Allah and His mercy, then this is the one who believes in me.
كافر بالكوكب. وأما من قال مطرنا بنوء كذا وكذا فهو كافر بي ومؤمن بالكوكب.
So the one who says we were given rain by the mercy of Allah and the bounty of Allah, this one is the one who believes in me and disbelieved in the the stars and the planets. And as for the one who says, we were given rain because of this star here and this planet here and the likes, he is the one that disbelieved in me and believed in the planets.
يعني أن من الناس من يرى أن الكواكب لها أثر في إنزال الأمطار.
So with Sheikh Abdullah, he says, meaning that from the people at that time were those who believed and they saw it, that the rain came down because of the planets. The sending down of the rain was because of the planets or the stars.
فأعلمهم أن الغيث من الله عز وجل.
So he taught them that the rain befell upon them from Allah,
لا من الكواكب.
not from the stars and the planets.
ومعلوم أن الكواكب توقيت من الله عز وجل.
And it is known, this is something that is known, that the planets, they are based upon the time from Allah.
هذا توقيت كما أن زوال الشمس علامة على دخول وقت الظهر.
He says, so this is known that the planets, they revolve, the stars revolve based upon the time. And this is from Allah. He says, just as it is known that the sun inclining and declining is a sign, when the sun makes the zenith, that is the time of the Dhuhr prayer.
وشروق الشمس علامة على شروقها.
Likewise, when the sun turns towards the east, here, that this lets you know, indicator that the Maghrib is coming towards the Maghrib time.
غروب الشمس علامة على دخول وقت صلاة المغرب وهكذا. إنما هو توقيت. لكن إذا اعتقد أن الذي ينزل الأمطار هي تلك الكواكب فهذا هو المعني في الحديث.
So he says, so the stars and the planets, the stars here, they help the people till the time. And this is from Allah. But the intent of the hadith, if the person believes that the stars are the things that bring about the rain, not Allah, but rather it's the stars. This is the meaning of the hadith, that they disbelieved in Allah.
الشاهد من ذلك أن النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم لم يهمل الدعوة إلى التوحيد.
So the point of the hadith here is that the Messenger of Allah, he was not neglectful with regards to calling the people to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
حتى في الأوقات الحرجة.
Even in the times of battle, even in the times of severe difficulty, the Messenger of Allah would call the people to a tawheed.
حتى في الأوقات الحرجة وهو يدعو إلى توحيد الله جل وعلا.
Even in the times of extreme difficulty, in the battles or the ghazwa, the Messenger of Allah was calling the people to a tawheed.
وفي قصة معاذ حين بعثه إلى اليمن.
And in the narration of Mu'adh, in which the Messenger of Allah sent him to the lands of Al-Yemen,
قال له إنك تقدم على قوم من أهل الكتاب.
the Messenger of Allah said, O Mu'adh, verily you are going to a people from the people of the book.
فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إليه
So let the first thing you call them to be
شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله
the testification that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah,
وأن محمد رسول الله.
and that Muhammad is the Messenger of Allah.
فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك.
And if they obey you upon that,
إنما الشاهد منه أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إليه شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات في اليوم والليلة.
and if they
لذلك
And if they accept this from you, O Muhammad, if they obey you in that, then teach them, inform them that Allah has prescribed, obliged upon them that they are to pray 5 prayers every day and every night.
إليه شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله فإنهم أطاعوك لذلك فأعلمهم أن الله افترض عليهم 5 صلوات في اليوم والليلة.
So if they obey you upon that, O Muhammad, then teach them, inform them that Allah has prescribed upon them 5 prayers that are to be offered every day and every night.
إلى آخر الحديث.
To the end of the hadith.
إنما الشاهد منه أن قال له فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إليه شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله.
So the point of the hadith here, my brothers and my sisters, is his statement, let the first thing you call them to be the testification that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah.
أيها المسلمون.
Oh, my Muslim brothers and
توحيد الله
sisters.
جل وعلا به فطر الناس أجمعين.
So by the Tawheed of Allah, this is the natural disposition that Allah created mankind upon.
فطر الله الناس على التوحيد وخلقهم على التوحيد.
This is the natural disposition that Allah created mankind upon, a Tawheed. And Allah created them to worship Him and Him alone upon a Tawheed.
وبالتوحيد يدخل من ليس مسلما إلى الإسلام.
And by way of a Tawheed, those who are not Muslim, they enter the religion of Al-Islam to become Muslims.
وبالتوحيد يخرج المسلم من الدنيا.
And by way of the Tawheed, the Muslim, he leaves this dunya.
فأما أنه يولد على الفطرة
So the fact that the individual, he is born upon the natural disposition,
فكما جاء في الحديث كل مولود يولد على الفطرة فأبواه يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه.
he says, as it comes in the hadith, translators note, from the hadith of Abu Hurairah, collected by Bukhari and Muslim, the Messenger of Allah, he says, مَا مِن مَوْلُودٍ إِلَّا يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ, that there is no newborn child except that he is born upon the natural disposition. Then his 2 parents either make him a Jew or a Christian or a fire worshipper.
أي أنه يولد مفطورا على توحيد الله جل وعلا.
So the sheikh, he says, Hafidhahullah, meaning that the new child is born upon the disposition, the natural disposition, upon a Tawheed. That is the oneness of Allah Ta'ala. This child naturally will worship Allah and Allah alone.
فلو ترك لأعرب عن ذلك بنفسه.
So if the person is left alone, the newborn child, he's left alone.
ولأبان عن نفسه بنفسه على توحيد الله عز وجل.
And the person is left alone, he's going to remain himself upon the oneness of Allah.
ولكنه يتغير بسبب المؤثرات الخارجية.
But rather this child, he's affected by those outward things, those outward causes and reasons. He's affected by that.
المربون هم الذين يؤثرون على ذلك المولود.
Those who raise and nurture this newborn child, they are the ones who are going to affect the child.
إما بإبقائه على ما فطره الله عليه.
Either they're going
الله جل وعلا.
Either they're going to help the newborn child remain upon the natural disposition that Allah has created him upon,
إلى دين آخر كاليهودية أو النصرانية أو المجوسية.
or those who nurture and raise the child will help the child leave the natural disposition that Allah created him upon and transfer to another religion, another way of life, like the way of life of the Jews or the Christians or the fire worshippers or the likes.
قال الله جل وعلا فأقم وجهك للدين حنيفا فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله
Allah Ta'ala, He says, translator's note, as it comes in Surah Al-Rum, Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلَّذِي خَلَقَ طيب لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فَطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا لَا تَبْدِيلَ لِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ الآية. Allah Ta'ala says, so therefore, face your face, or turn your face لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا, to the one who guided you to the religion of At-Tauheed, Hanifa, the one who has Allah created you upon this natural disposition, the natural disposition that created mankind upon. لا تبديل لخلق الله, there's no altering and there's no changing and transformation from the creation of Allah. Surah Al-Rum.
نعم أيها المسلمون خلق الله عز وجل قلوب بني آدم على توحيد الله.
So he says, yes, my brothers and my sisters in Al-Islam, Allah created the hearts of the children of Adam upon His Tawheed.
فكما أن تغيير خلق الله الخارجي محرم كالوشم والوشر والنمص هذه كلها من تغييرات خلق الله.
He says, and then the creation, they are affected by those outer affairs, those al-khalq al-khariji, those creations or those things that are outwardly. He says, like al-washmi, wal-washr, wal-nams. He says, like plucking of the the hair on one's eye, the eyebrows, and the eyelashes, and the body markings and the likes. All of these affairs are haram.
النمص نتف الحواجب والوشر أن ينشر ما بين الأسنان والوشم أن يخز بإبرة في يده أو في أي مكان ويضع الكحل.
So the Imam, he says, one translating correction that we mentioned, he says here the word mada and namus. He says this namus here is when the person removes, as we mentioned, he plucks out, or she plucks out rather, the hair from the eyebrows. As for the washar, we mistranslated that. The washar here is when the people separate between their teeth. They separate between their teeth. And as we mentioned, the washam is when the person makes the body markings on their hands or any parts of their bodies. He says, similarly, the changing of Allah's creation, the changings that are inwardly. For Allah Ta'ala created mankind upon the Tawheed of Allah. So anyone who enters into the belief of the individual, a false and corrupt belief, he is also changing the creation of Allah. As Allah Ta'ala, He says, once again the Sheikh repeated the ayah as it comes in Surah Al-Rum, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا. So turn your face to the religion of Allah that is upon Islamic monotheism, the natural disposition that Allah has created mankind upon. So it's the same if this changing of creation is in the shirk, is in the person ascribing partners with Allah, or the changing that the person worships Allah upon bid'ah, or when the person falls into sin and transgression. Allah did not create the people for them to be polytheists. And Allah did not create, He did not create the people for them to be Jews or Christians. Nor did He create the people for them to be fire worshippers. Nor did He create them to be innovators. Nor did He create them to be sinners. but rather he created them and he fashioned them upon the natural disposition, which is a tawheed.
فمن أدخل عليهم شيئا من الباطل فقد غير فيهم أشد من تغيير الواشمة والمستوشمة.
So it says, anyone who enters into the creation of Allah, those inward beliefs that are false and corrupted, he does more harm than the one who changes the outer description of the creation. He does more harm than the one who changes their hair upon their eyes, or spaces their teeth, or gets markings upon their bodies. The one who changes the inner belief, a belief of falsehood, he does more harm.
فالرسول صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم يقول لعن الله الواشمة والمستوشمة والواشرة والمستوشرة والفالجة والمتفلجة. هذا لعن.
So the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, translators note, this hadith comes collected by Imam Muslim, narrated by Ibn Mas'ud, that the Messenger of Allah said, may the curse of Allah be upon the washima wal mustawshima. May the curse of Allah be upon the one who removes the hair of someone's eyebrows, and the one who he gets his body tattooed or marked or the likes. He says this is a creation, or this is a changing of the creation of Allah, to the end of the hadith. So he says these changing of the creation, they are khalqun khariji. They are outer changes. So if it's like this for the one who alters and changes his outer creation, how much more so of the one who changes his inner creation? The one who changes his inner creation, he changes what Allah Ta'ala naturally created him upon, and he results, or as a result, he becomes someone who worships Allah upon a shirk. Or he changes and worships Allah upon deviation, or he changes and worships Allah upon innovation, or he worships Allah upon sin, minor and major, and those things that are more detrimental than this. So the sheikh, he says, and we ask Allah for peace and safety, and all the praise belong to Allah. And I've said that which you have heard. Wa subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. وهذا الجزء الأول من خطبة الشيخ عبدالعزيز البرعي حفظه الله تعالى بعنوان عظمة التوحيد. So this will be part 1, inshallah, of the reminder of our noble Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Buree with the address or the title, The Greatness of a Tawheed. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.